Hey Dad, how do you cope with limerence if you can't go no contact?
Well, that's a really good question. So, no contact is the sort of the cornerstone of what we recommend with limerence, and that's where you stop having any contact with the person that you're infatuated with, which is what we call the limerent object, the LO. And it sometimes it's really difficult to avoid that person completely. You can certainly block them on social media. You don't have to look at their profiles, their Instagrams, their Facebooks, their TikToks, all that sort of stuff. So that is possible to do. But if it's a work colleague, if it's a family member, if it's a neighbor, that's much harder. So then this comes down to boundaries and you being very, very boundaried around that other person. So that if you do have to work with them, you make sure that you don't have any conversation that veers off around work issues. If it's a family member, you're just very careful about the sorts of things that you discuss. Try and avoid any one-on-one time with that person. If you're going to have to spend time, see them as a group as well. And it's about also, I think, what's really helpful in these situations is about being in therapy because then you can start understanding yourself and also developing. It's almost like the third person. It's like having an observer who's observing you so that you are aware of how you're behaving when you're around the other person. And then you've got more chance of modifying your behavior and perhaps not being a bit like a bunny in the headlights who's completely hyper. It's what we call hypervigilant, which is what you get with trauma, where you are almost startled and not able to react in a way because of being in the presence of your limerent object. And I know this personally because with my own limerence, the other person was on a course, my training course for a few years, and I could have left the course. I chose not to. So I was around that person at times. And what I had to learn was also to have very strong boundaries and just avoid going to places where I knew she may be. So I talk from personal experience. Anyhow, I would love to know if you've had limerence for somebody that you couldn't go completely no contact. What did you do to avoid them? How did you do it? Put your comments in the comments section. Also, check out our TikToks and Instagrams and YouTube. And also, I've got a 24-part series. So if you really are invested in trying to overcome and work through your limerence, have a look at that. It's available via our website at themarriedtherapist.com.